Welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings towards our two favorite characters, Jaime and Brienne. Hi everyone, I'm Kama, and you can find me at Kama Splice on Blue Sky, and today I'm joined by Chicky. And,
hey, I'm
sorry.
Chicky. Sorry, I'm Chicky, and I am also on Blue Sky as Chicky.
And Clotho.
Hi, I'm Clotho. You can find me at Clotho Spindle on Blue Sky.
Okay, so as always, we will be spoiling everything, books, possibly show. We are covering Reek II from A Dance with Dragons, and I know we usually have trigger warnings, but guys, this time I think we really mean it. There's all sorts of horrible things in this one. A lot of torture, violence, everything. So know yourself.
I guess. Okay. God.
Okay. I would also like to state that not only am I modding Reek II, I'm modding a Tyrion chapter. So,
I know. I saw that. I was like, this was so cruel of me because I took the John chapter in the middle because I always try to take the John chapters, and I really screwed you over on this one, Kama. I am so sorry.
It's okay. I'm sure everyone thanks me for my service. All right. I'm going to keep calling him Theon rather than Reek because Theon is in here. This is something that I feel comes through in this chapter. He's on some kind of a horse, although not a very good one. He's been sent off by Ramsay with a bath, some good clothes, and this kind of decrepit horse. And some of Ramsay's buddies who are, for those of you who are playing along at home, Damon, Dance for Me, Yellow Dick, and Grunt threaten him with all kinds of hell if he tries to escape. Theon is not... He's been given a mission, but he's not 100% sure this isn't one of Ramsay's mind games. He also, notes to himself that the horse isn't very good. Given where he is geographically, there's really nowhere to run to.
I love this where slowly Theon is starting to remember the times that he's been here before, but he is just so psychologically damaged at this point that it's hard for him in a way to even connect to his own memories, or it's a weird connection to his memories. It gets better as the chapter goes on, but
yeah, I mean, he's in there.
Oh yeah, he's in there. He is in there, but man, it is. George does such a good job with situations like this where he just kind of is very good at conveying a psychological state.
Right.
It is altered.
So he's supposed to go to Moat Cailin, and as he travels, he remembers that he's been there before, and immediately he tells himself he's Reek. And when he thinks of him, basically Theon, he considers that, he identifies that self as that other man. And I'm going to start us off with a little passage here. The other man had been a good rider, but Reek was uneasy on horseback. It had been so long. He was no rider. He wasn't even a man. He was Lord Ramsay's creature, lower than a dog, a worm in human skin. You will pretend to be a prince, Lord Ramsay had told him last night, as Reek was soaking in a tub of scalding water. But we know the truth. You're Reek. You'll always be Reek, no matter how sweet you smell. Your nose may lie to you. Remember your name. Remember who you are. Reek, he said. You're Reek. So, yeah. In this, we learn that Theon is down to 7 fingers. Sorry, and I don't know what else is missing, but at least that.
Oh God,
he is just. I really don't know how he's not dead of sepsis by now. That's right for the ages. And as he keeps making this ride, he keeps thinking back to the past. And his past self. Like I said, it's really clear that no matter what Ramsay has done, that this is some sort of defense mechanism that, he's using. He arrives to where the siege is happening, and as he's getting to where he's got to be, an arrow nearly gets him, and somebody pulls him in. And he's asked to identify himself, and he does identify himself as Theon, Lord Balon's or King Balon's son, but keeps telling himself that he needs to realize that he is Reek.
Well, I love though how he does not use the word Theon. He cannot use his actual name. He calls himself, Balon's son, and he says he's their prince, but he cannot call himself Theon. It is, God.
Yeah, I think he says he's Ironborn, but that's as far as he can go. So somebody named Ralph Kenning is in charge. I did look this man up. He's in Feast briefly. I think he was rooting for Victorian or Euron or one of those guys, but it doesn't really matter. Everyone and everything seems to be in terrible condition. Kenning is literally dying of the effects of a poisoned arrow. And let me tell you, it is disgusting. I'm not going to read that part out. It's just beyond gross. And Theon ends up killing him sort of out of mercy.
And so now this was a poisoned arrow from the Crannog men, right? That's what hit him with this arrow.
That was what I was assuming the arrow that again would have been also that the potential of being a poison arrow.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because as he's journeying there, as he gets closer, he notes that their eyes are everywhere. He gets the sense people are watching, so God only knows what they have in the bogs, but evidently it's real bad because this goes beyond sepsis. What's going on in this man? They end up going up to see the second in command, and then we meet some charming Iron Men who rejoice in the surname of Codd, C-O-D-D, and they sound even skeevier than your typical Ironborn. If that is at all possible, And Theon has come with Ramsay's offer of peace if they will yield the castle. So someone named Dagon Codd, who I believe only ever shows up in this particular chapter, rejects the offer out of hand. And Theon is very nervous because Ramsay has only given him a single day to make all of this happen. And somewhere from within himself, he manages to sort of channel Theon and make the point that they've been abandoned, that this is their one chance. So one of the characters in here, there's, because Dagon is not having anything of it, and then a one-armed man named Adrak Humble kills Theon. Kills Dagon. So now they can talk. And Theon learns that there are 65 men left in the castle. 2 are verging on death. 5 can't even walk. But, I think they're all they're ready to leave. And Theon tells them they have to leave their weapons, which they agree to. And Adrak, there's this whole thing. He's got 3 or 4 assault wives and says, hey, we run to twins. I might name one of my kids after you. I've got this little passage here. I name him Reek, he thought, and when he's bad, you can cut his toes off and give him rats to eat. He turned his head and spat and wondered if Ralph Kenning hadn't been the lucky one.
Oh, God.
So gross.
And he didn't know. I'm assuming he didn't know that Ramsay was just going to off. I mean, the one guy that got killed knew.
He knew.
I had a feeling.
He knew. He knows. He knows.
Even if he didn't directly, he suspected that there wasn't going to be.
So they get to Ramsay's camp, and Ramsay has his crew of infinitely more disgusting people and his pack of hounds. And he welcomes the men and gives orders that they get food and medical attention, but we know that's not going to happen. And immediately Ramsay makes sure that, he's trying to make sure he's still in control of Theon. So his plan here is he offers him a reward, and Theon says all he wants to do is serve and as much wine as he can drink. And Ramsay's down with that, and then says that he won't have to go to the dungeons anymore, but he's going to make him one of his dogs. Because this man is just sociopathic, psychopathic, whatever we're calling it. He has Ben Bones get Theon a collar. Ben Bones also gets him a blanket and half a chicken that Theon has to fight the dogs for in order to eat. And then he drinks till he can't anymore.
I mean, it sounds like Theon is actually sleeping with the dogs here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Theon is in the kennel there. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what's happening.
Oh, God.
So he's not in a dungeon anymore. So I guess comparatively better, but he's being treated like a literal animal.
And happy about it, it seems like.
There's so much going on with Theon. It's so disturbing. So in the morning when they leave, Theon realizes there are 63 flayed corpses along the way. And he clocks the one-armed man, Adrak Humble, and they've put the unopened peace treaty between the corpse's teeth.
I love how he heard the screaming. He like noted to himself that he heard the men screaming. He just immediately just like tuned it back out again. And just like didn't even think about what it meant or what he had to do with it or anything.
I think clearly he's in full survival mode. Whatever he's got to do to get through this. I mean, the mental games he plays constantly. Reek rhymes with meek or leak or whatever. All the many rhymes. Just constantly shoving. Anytime Theon sort of. That part of him rises up, he immediately tries to push him away and push it down because I think he is just petrified of, there's always something worse.
Yeah, and these chapters are like really laying a solid foundation for you to like then sort of understand how much it took for him to finally do what he does at the end, given that he was like, I mean, this is kind of like base terror. Like he's functioning at a level where he's just, I don't know how he got out of it. It's just pretty impressive that he was able to, when he does.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of, and I have not I've read these chapters exactly once. This is the second time I'm reading this. It's every bit as horrible as I remember.
Same.
So Roose shows up and okay, I'm not sure I clocked this correctly, but Ramsay seems to be a little bit unnerved by this. Like he wasn't expecting him or something. I don't know. Did you get that feeling or not?
I think, wasn't Ramsay surprised that the person dressed up as Roose wasn't Roose?
Yeah.
I think that's what
he had like a
surprised
person that was like, he was really, really.
He had a body double in his armor, and I think that surprised when he came out of the wagon where the women were. I think that was what surprised Ramsay.
Yeah, because Roose is no dummy.
Unlike Ramsay, Roose is no dummy. Yeah.
And Theon is like, I mean, I didn't write this down, but there's this great description of Theon remembering how back in the day he used to make fun of this man to his face. And now he's like, I was insane.
I was shocked when I read that. I was like, oh my, he sounds scary enough that even if I was in my right, felt safe, that I wouldn't make fun of him. Like how secure it must be.
And we should probably say, I think this chapter is kind of the real source of all of the conspiracy theories about Roose being a vampire.
Right.
Because
he doesn't
of the way
look
that he's described here. Yeah.
I also think Roose seems to unnerve Theon even more than Ramsay, or in a different way, or whatever.
He's scary.
But Roose is there with Walda, and also a woman who he introduces as the Lady Arya, who will be, marrying Ramsay. And Theon is looking at this girl, and he's like, "That's not Arya." And it takes him a moment, but he looks at like the hair, the eyes, the whole build thing, and he's like, "This is not Arya." And he recognizes and he also has the thought that Arya would have killed somebody by now. He's not wrong there, but he recognizes her as Jane Poole. And, that the chapter sort of ends there.
Oh, poor Jane. Also poor Theon. I love too how that when he first got to Moat Cailin and he's introduced there, like, didn't they call you Turncloak? And it's like just such a knife twist of what is about to happen because he's once again becoming a Turncloak to these guys. I just everything about his physical presentation, the fact that he's missing some fingers and he's grateful that it's only fingers. That's another interesting thing. He's grateful it's only his fingers. Like, he thinks about how Ramsay could have peeled all the skin off his legs or something, and
I'm guessing he's missing
his hair is all
toes.
white. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
because he talks about cutting your toes off, so God only knows what he's got left there.
Yes, definitely missing some toes. We have a hunch that perhaps part of his genitalia is missing as well. I mean, it's bad, and his hair is all white. He's missing a bunch of teeth. Sounds like he's also missing hair, not just that his hair turned white, but a bunch of it is gone.
Oh,
yeah.
His teeth are messed up, so messed up that he's hiding his mouth. I mean, there's a lot.
Malnutrition, probably.
Well,
I assume
teeth being missing, or removed,
punched, or yeah.
And he remembers Rob a couple of times, and that's heartbreaking. It's all incredibly disturbing. And everything about this is horrible.
It's also just kind of bizarre to think about how these people function. You think, they were hidden. Roose was interacting with people. It's like these people are they seem like the way they're acting like demons, but it's wild that people that's just who they are, kind of thing. Were they ever
No, I think people so Roose is.
Did they kind of avoid him? Did we get I'm trying to think of overall in the picture before all these years.
My sense is that Roose can keep it controlled, at least in public, and he's a different kind of evil, right? And he blends, he functions, he does what he needs to do. He's off in the Dreadfort. He's not interacting on a regular basis. Remember, these people are all, the North is what's supposed to be the size of Russia or something.
Right. Okay. So maybe that's distance could kind of keep you insulated.
Well, he comes to Winterfell periodically to pay fealty to Ned or to fight or whatever. And, he's probably keeping whatever he's doing kind of on the quiet side. He knows, to make sure that no one's talking about him. And Ramsay, who people do know there's a problem, again, I'm assuming that, before the war breaks out, is probably restricting himself to people who, quote unquote, don't matter.
Right.
It's not he's going after Lady Hornwood or whatever right away. That takes the war to make that happen. He's probably running after, servant girls and, beating up and killing other people like peasants, I'm assuming. So he's got a reputation, but again, think of the monsters that run around in our world.
Yes, yeah. And then it just takes one thing to set them off.
Outed by society or the police or whatever, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they get through it. And of course, the war and the upheaval, and now Roose is aligned with the Lannisters and whatnot. They can all be out in the open.
Do whatever they want.
And I think, Roose would not be using a body double if he didn't understand that his bastard son is a monster. I think Roose knows who Ramsay is.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a vampire. I think we got a question about this. I think that's...
I was just going to say...
we got a question.
I was going to say, I think you should know, though, the Boltons in general, the entire clan, are well known for this flaying people alive thing.
Yeah.
It's just accepted.
This is very much a thing. And you get the feeling with Roose that it's not so much that he enjoys doing it so much as it's just part of what maintains their reputation. And so it feels like every so often they've got to, skin somebody, flay somebody alive.
It's kind of like this, in a sense, like a modern mafiosa type thing where, exactly the one who's in more control and calm about it versus the kid who's like wild and just goes killing everybody willy-nilly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Ramsay is as Kama said, he's a sociopath, obviously. Ramsay has a reputation already for being like way beyond the pale for even a Bolton. So,
but think about,
I think Ramsay's a different breed.
Let's go with like an old Western kind of situation, or the Deep South or something in the 1920s, where you have like the people on the edge of society, the town, who are fine. And as you get in, there's parts of the country you don't go in, and if you're a certain type of person, because you're never getting out alive. And these people are sort of left to themselves. And if they get too out of line, maybe the law cracks down, which is what the Starks, probably would have to do periodically. But generally, you leave them alone. And when you need them, like you need them in battle or whatever, you get them. But I think that's what's going on here. And it's a feudal society. So, Roose has power no matter what. It would probably take a lot for, let's in the old days for Ned to come and, crack down. But Roose probably knows to behave it well enough.
Yeah.
These are the people who they have the Seal Shanks Waltons. Isn't he the guy who's perfectly fine in a normal circumstance, but, during war is raping and pillaging and doing whatever?
Right. That whole thing. We had so the Tumblr. The question was from Aruna about, and it's so not so much a question about the chapter, but more about the Boltons in general. Do you think their skinning people has magical origin, like something related to skin changers or the faceless man being able to use faces to experience the memories of the dead? And what do you think about, the second part was, what do you think about the Bolt-on theory? So I guess in the sense that they don't specifically mention the vampirism, but is there some kind of otherworldly thing going on that's...
I hate the vampire theory so much because I think it's far scarier for Roose Bolton to be a human being who's just messed up beyond the telling.
Right. And that's scary to think that he just exists. That's frightening to think all those years he just goes by his business and who knows what they're doing in the dungeons, and then they're just to see how bad they are when they finally have free reign.
I don't know about terrifying. You, but I don't go about my day in fear of vampires, but I fear people who look like everybody else, but, who are killing people in their basement or whatever, or who are in positions of power and doing horrible, awful things. Yeah. I find that a lot freakier than the vampire theory. And Guile, I'm so sorry, because I know Guile loves the Bolton theory.
Okay, what's the bolt-on? What does that stand for?
So the bolt-on theory is something that wouldn't exist if there weren't faceless men, I think, in the universe. There are faceless men, however. So this theory arrives that people think that the Boltons, particularly Roose, are peeling the skin off of people and then wearing it. So the theory is that Roose is has been living for a long time, or I don't know, immortal like a vampire or something. And then he just keeps wearing new faces. That is the bolt-ons. Literally, it's like bolting on a new face. I think is what the theory comes from. I don't know. It's one of those things where this chapter is weird how much George does this dwelling on Roose's looks here in a way that you get little blips about Roose's looks in earlier books. Obviously, you hear from Catelyn, you hear from Jaime what Roose looks like and how he is a little disturbing. But you don't get he's not human vibe until this point. And obviously, Theon is such an unreliable narrator here. I don't know. I mean, George is doing so much retconning in the last couple of books. I mean, you can't rule out that there's something mystical and magical going on, but it would just be a layer that just isn't necessary. I feel like it's actually much more terrifying if Roose and Ramsay are just regular old, run of the mill evil people and not some, immortal conspiracy. The other thing I think is, if this were true, I think Ramsay would know about it and probably would be letting more slip about it.
Yeah, because he's not a smart guy.
Right.
No.
That's a good point.
You know, and as far as the nature of the flaying and the maybe that's how they got started. You know, like all kinds of legends, like it's rooted in something and then it just becomes practice.
Maybe one of the ancestors was wearing people's faces like a Hannibal Lecter thing or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But, you know, these people are inbred crazy ass fucks is what's going on. And they are, I don't know about inbred, but they're, you know, these are dark, evil people who apparently are, you know, I'm assuming there's some sort of genetic component to the psychopathy going on here too. You know,
or just environmental, yeah. But
environmental,
I mean, like
Roose's son Domeric sounds like he was kind of normal,
fine.
And maybe occasionally it skips, you know, or whatever. And Roose seems to have actually liked Domeric.
Imagine being born into that family. Oh, what did I?
Well, but I mean, like maybe like occasionally there's a normal Bolton. I don't know, but you know.
Yeah, Domeric. Nobody seems to have thought that Domeric was weird. It's Ramsay. Ramsay. I mean, Roose is obviously a little weird. Ramsay is way weird, like crazy weird. Obviously. Yeah. I think this is. I think with the flaying for like Roose, I think it's like Jaime using Tywin's reputation to get things done. I kind of think that's probably there's an element of that with Roose. I don't think Roose is getting his rocks off watching people be flayed alive. I think he just uses it reputationally, probably.
Yeah, that's my
guess. It works because people are scared of him.
Justifiably so. But I think maybe that's where that comes from. And I know there are people who love this, the more supernatural theory, and that's your prerogative. You're wrong, but but yeah. Do we have any other mail?
Just to be clear, I'm not saying 100% you're wrong. I kind of get where it comes from. I don't think it's happening, but I do get why people think it.
Yeah, we have from Reddit. We're at if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Guys, I love this podcast so much. It's smart, it's fun, and you're sharing solid analysis without taking yourself too seriously. You're one of the highlights of my week, and I can't thank you too much for that. Thank you. That's really kind. It's a nice compliment. And the question is, how do you hope the shoot in Tyrion's head? I read them as fast as I could, and I think I may have missed important details in them, but really, I can't stay there. The others and Mel's stakes look like a breeze of fresh air after them. Yeah, it's hard, especially because we're doing some of these together, and a lot of times we end up clumping. But this whole book is like a lot of these are back to back. Some of these really disgusting. It's a hard book.
Well, and we did not do ourselves any favors because what we did with Dance is we cherry picked out the chapters we actually liked and already read them, and so we're not actually rereading them during our. We're releasing our old versions of them. So we're really extra torturing ourselves. We just left ourselves the stuff we didn't really want to have to read. That's pretty much all we're reading right now.
Yeah, I gotta say, and when you're modding, you really have to read closely because you're describing what's happening, and it's just sort of like I said, this is my second time reading this. There's a reason I don't come back to this book that much. And I certainly don't come back to these chapters. So
I will say I like John. I reread John's chapters. Those are really the best part right now for me.
Those kinds of yeah. Anything else?
No, that was it for this chapter.
Okay, so I do have an announcement.
Oh, wait, sorry. There is a general. I just found it. Sorry, I scrolled down a little bit. I'm so sorry. There's a general. It was general comment, so not specific question, but okay. Sorry. The podcast is such a delight, and this is from GRMT Woman from Reddit.
I think it's Green Mountain Woman or something.
Green Mountain Woman. Okay. And this podcast is such a delight, both smart and funny. Now, if you like, you can ignore the rest of this because I have a couple of questions that have nothing to do with the chapters we're recording now. They came to mind while I was listening to you discussing the Bear Pit chapter in your last episode. First, Jaime persuaded Aerys to appoint him to the King's Guard. Was this what happened, or did Aerys already have it in mind to spite Tywin in that way? I guess, do we want to discuss that one? Then we can do the second one.
Oh, wow. We've talked about
Yeah.
this several times. And I don't know, we've kind of gone round and round
Yeah.
about, was this entirely Cersei's idea? I tend to think it was Cersei's idea and that she somehow convinced Aerys. And we have discussed a bit how she could have convinced Aerys to do this.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. There are theories out there that like Varys was involved or something, but I don't know that Varys would have wanted Jaime in King's Landing. I think it was Cersei. I think this was just
And Aerys went along with it.
Aerys went along with it because he saw a way to really stick it to Tywin, and he was right. It really did stick it. It really made Tywin mad, so he was correct about that.
And, Jaime sort of comes to that realization that, Aerys is using him, but I wonder if, like, that's part of Jaime's sort of still protecting himself from thinking, not blaming Cersei for it. I don't know. Maybe at that point he would have blamed her for it, but
it's funny.
A way
it's
of not
funny
blaming
how,
her.
even at this point, as much as Jaime resents Cersei for, like, the cheating on him aspects of their breakup, and he is angry with her for how hard she went at Tyrion and how unreasonable she's being about some things. But it's funny how he is never angry with her or like trying to steal his birthright. And that is what she effectively did. I don't 100% know that was her goal. I'm never really sure that she personally was sure that she was going to end up with Casterly Rock. I think she just wanted him to be in King's Landing with her. I do think that was probably her real motive. But he never seems to really fully resent her for it. And I don't know if that's just him taking accountability because he definitely made that decision for himself. I'm not really sure why it is that he doesn't.
Right. It's probably hard to think somebody would do that to you, but yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he just can't think that she would just completely fuck his life over because she felt like it and it suited her needs at the moment.
Yep. And second, how do you think Brienne reacted to Qyburn's examination? What could he have said, threatened, or done to keep her from reacting? Did he tie her up or hold her down, threaten Jaime or an innocent person in some way? Sorry to make you think about something so horrible, but we never get any insight into it from her POV and thought it must have been a traumatic experience.
I'm assuming they had to hold her down, but
I don't know. I kind of have gone back and forth on this, and I don't think it changes the aspect that it was an assault to say the following. I think probably Brienne, as a woman raised in Westeros, very accustomed to having maesters tend to her, no doubt, throughout her life, may have just submitted and not immediately not trusted him. I mean, you see the way that she is with like clergy members, and like she tends to have some institutional trust. So I am not sure that she would have needed to be held down. It might have just been a situation of the maester wants to tend to you. We don't really know what general healthcare is for women in Westeros. But you don't see like Catelyn having any issue with the maester coming in and seeing her naked and things like that.
Yeah,
I think, you might just think of him as a doctor, and it may not have been quite the level of trauma that we think of it as. But at the same time, did Brienne choose to have a pelvic exam at this time? No, she did not. But would it have been something that she perceived as quite the violence that it might have been? I don't know, because she doesn't think about it, and she tends to think about the most traumatic things that she has experienced in her chapters, and this is something she doesn't think about. So I don't think she clocked it as a huge trauma. Not trying to downplay what it was by any means, but that is my read.
Okay.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Yeah. And we had one final from Podbean. On Cato says, episode 8, for Nissa, is the spirit of the sacrifice enough? Brienne was more than willing to die for Jaime at the noose.
So I did respond to this on Podbean because I wasn't even on the podcast in episode 8, which is 10 years ago at this point.
Okay.
But and I don't know what we were talking about then. But I thought it was I always love it when I hear that people are finding the podcast. Chicky, you were on the podcast.
Let me harken back a decade. I don't remember exactly what the discussion would have been. Yeah, I mean, when we used to talk about Brienne as a possible Nissa Nissa, which yes, used to come up much more than it does now. Yes, there was discussion about the fact that she might have at one point been a willing sacrifice, but you really have to go abstract to make Brienne and Jaime fit into the whole, Azor Ahai, Nissa Nissa, prophecy concept. And I think after the show, any idea that might have been the future that George had in mind is pretty well put to bed. We did not get any vibe from anything they remotely did in the show that Brienne and Jaime might be involved in the Azor Ahai prophecy. In fact, the show kind of discarded Azor Ahai, so I guess you can't.
Right.
It's pretty obvious to me. It's Jon and or Dany together, or one of them separately. They both fitted, so it's them. One of them is killing the other. I think another thing probably confirmed by the show. So,
was that it for our mail?
Yep, that was it.
So we are going, I have an announcement. We are going to be rereading the Dunk and Egg novellas in anticipation of the series, which I guess has been greenlit and is supposed to be coming out in...
It's greenlit, it's shot, it's supposed to be... We've just been waiting for the release. They did reshoots, and it's supposed to be coming out in January, an HBO executive said. So stay tuned for that. We will. It'll be old show episode rules when that happens. Which, if anyone can remember what life was like when Game of Thrones was airing, and I will grant you, it feels like eons ago. So we will probably be popping out episodes weekly,
a little more frequently.
Yes.
But we will be probably I'm assuming we'll be putting a call out for questions for the novellas. So.
Yes, we will.
And I'm very excited to get back into something a little more pleasant to read.
Oh, I'm so excited to read Dunk and Egg again. And I'm actually kind of excited for the show, too. So,
yeah, I will actually resubscribe to Max for this because...
that is a sacrifice. That is a sacrifice.
All right. Well, if you would like to send us a message, you can do so at closethedoorandcomehere.tumblr.com. You can email us at closethedoorand@gmail.com. You can also message us on Blue Sky Social at closethedoorand. You can also leave us comments on Podbean. I think we're also on YouTube, so look for us there. Please like and review us wherever you listen, as it helps new people find us. And evidently, we do have people finding us for the first time. We'd like to thank our Patreons who help us keep the light on. The lights, not light. Oh, my God. Lights on. If you would like to become a Patreon, you can do that by going to patreon.com/closethedoor. And with that, closing the door, get out.